All right. Welcome to Wednesday night service at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Sally Bartholomew, and I get to be your host this evening. Welcome to Wednesday night. Our annual theme this year with the Centers for Spiritual Living is living out loud. And if last night wasn't out loud enough for you, hold on to your seats, because this evening we are speaking truth to circumstances in the month of July. And tonight, Christopher Brown will be speaking to Monsters, Inc. This is a topic that was begun last Sunday with Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle. She introduced some ideas on the topic, and tonight Christopher Brown will be giving us his own interpretations. So you might be asking yourself, what is a Wednesday night oasis? Well, it's a place where we can come together between Sundays as a community to be spiritually refreshed. And our intention with Wednesday night oasis is for these gatherings to be informal. I'm wearing my summer clothes this evening, intimate, and interactive. We do have some breakout sessions planned for this evening. So be ready to share your thoughts, your ideas, your comments as we go along. And I'd like to welcome anyone who's new to Wednesday night. If this is your first time, welcome. And if this is your first time finding us on YouTube, welcome. Either way, navigate yourself after the show to www.oaklandcsl.org. And that's where you'll find out more information about the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. You click on the I'm New icon, give us your email, and you'll start receiving the Village News once a week that has all the information about what's going on at the center. So before we get started this evening, a couple of housekeeping notes. During the service, the tech team behind the scenes will be muting your audio if you haven't already done that for yourself. And this allows us to improve the quality of our recording. Feel free to keep your video on so that Christopher can see your reaction as he speaks. But remember, mute your audio, because if you don't, we will do it for you. I invite you to stay tuned all the way to the end of the service so that you can receive special and important announcements. So this evening, our speaker is Practitioner Christopher Brown. Now, Christopher knows that we are all independent researchers trying to figure out the mysteries of life. His research has taught him to reject any wisdom that does not know how to cry, any philosophy which does not know how to laugh, and any greatness that is not humbled by the joy of children. So the best we can do, according to Christopher, is to hold each other's hands as we walk through the mysteries of life together. So as we do with every organized event at the center, we start with prayer. And I'm going to turn it over to Christopher to do the honors this evening. Christopher?
Thank you, Sally. So let's hold hands in a way. Imagine you're just holding each other's hands as we breathe through our hearts. Gently, gently breathing through our hearts and getting the sense of what that might feel like, to be that intimate with life this evening, right where we're sitting. And in this feeling tone, I invite that feeling tone throughout the whole service this evening, as each of us comes to hear exactly what is theirs to hear, and to reject anything that does not resonate in their heart. And I bless everyone participating, every single person, especially those that have come, the participants that have come, that go into the breakout rooms, that share in very close and intimate ways. I know that revelation and inspiration will come, not through me, but through each of us as we engage with this evening. So I bless all of it. I let it be. And together we say, and so it is. And so welcome again. The theme of the month is speaking truth to circumstances. And this thing about monsters, only monster that I ever knew was the monster that lived under my bed. And I know that none of you have ever had a monster or anything that was scary like that lived under your bed or in the closet or you get what I'm saying. Well, for me, that monster was very real. Who gave it the reality? It wasn't the monster, it was me. And so in order to avoid the monster, I used to have to run across the room and jump over the headboard and into the bed so the monster couldn't touch my feet. Because you know what would happen if the monster touched my feet. I know. So my dad knew I was doing this. And he said, have you ever checked under the bed to see if the monster's real? And I said, no, I know it's down there. And he said, really? Well, guess what? I'll give you a flashlight. And when you're ready, why don't you take a look? Well, now, in our lives, how often do we come up against those beliefs that there is a monster or there's something terrifying right below us or beside us or next to us or in the other room, a circumstance in our life that's pretty not so cool. Do we confront it? No, you don't really want to find out. I didn't want to find out as a child, but it was a valuable lesson. And so I took that flashlight. One night, I was feeling particularly brave. And it takes courage to face what is there, to face our imagination, to face our projection. So I took the flashlight and I thought, what if there really is a monster? And it's peering back at me with those big eyes and those teeth and all of that. What am I going to do then? And I started getting wild. I go, oh, that's it. But what if there isn't? Do I really want to know? Because right now, this monster's running me. That monster has taken my power, or have I given the monster my power? I think it's the latter. I've turned over my power to my fear, to that projected imaginary monster under my bed. So I took the flashlight, screwed up enough courage, popped open over the blanket, peeked under there really quickly, and then stepped back. I didn't really look. I just flashed the light down there, but nothing happened. And so this time I'm really going to look. And I did. And you know what I found? Some really scary dust bunnies. That was it. No monster. There was a part of me that was really excited. There's also a part of me that was kind of disappointed. I mean, both were true. It's interesting. It's like I had sort of lived with that illusion for a while. It was kind of like a friend. And interestingly, sometimes our fears we don't want to let go of because we become friendly with them. They're part of our nature now. You know, this is what we do. We run across, jump across the headboard into the bed. That's just what we do. And we live our lives this way. But when we've had enough, when we finally had enough, perhaps we have the courage to look, to face exactly what it is, and to see if it's real. And I don't know about you, but for me, whenever I face it, it's never as bad as my imagination. I imagine that's true for you too. It's never as bad as I imagined it to be. And the thing is when I simply settle in to this moment, and I ask myself, am I okay in this moment? And I've never really found, well, there's a couple of times when I wasn't okay. That's a whole nother story. I had a broken hip. I wasn't okay in the moment. I couldn't move. But other than that, really everything else, basically I've been okay. Even in pain, even in suffering, in the moment, I've been okay. And so it's something that it's really important to remember. And it's something that we forget very quickly. That in the moment, when we look, even in the midst of our pain, we're okay in that moment. So Gautam Siddhartha, better known as Buddha, 2,500 years ago, his first sermon in Deer Park, he presented the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth was life contains inevitable, unavoidable suffering. Now, that's the translation. You know, Sally's been working about translations, and she knows that it can be very different when you actually look back at what's the Sanskrit word for suffering. And it's much closer to stress than suffering. It comes across as being uneasy, uncomfortable, unpleasant, difficult. So if we take a look at what the first noble truth that he's talking about is life is tough. You're going to have difficulty, and it's unavoidable and it's inevitable. And the three biggies are illness, old age, and death. When we realize that life is not a free lunch, that we participate in life, that life is gritty, that there are times of great circumstances that are tough to bear, but we get through them. We made it through childbirth. That was a pretty gritty operation. And guess what? The world provided parents or food and shelter, and here we are today. Somehow we were provided for the whole way through. Can we trust that that will continue? I don't see why not. We know that change is inevitable, and change comes in all kinds of forms. And I think the person who is most successful in life is the person that can adapt to change the quickest, that can simply let it go and let it be. The letting go is a hard part. That's a really hard part. But the thing is, either you fight with reality and lose, or you start to accept it and somehow come to peace with it. And that's, at the end of the day, that's really all that we've ever wanted, was to come to peace, to simply to come to ease with life. All of it seems like it's the bottom line of all of spirituality, is to come to know ourselves so well that we are at ease with the inevitable. We are at ease with what occurs. That the light and the dark are both alike to thee. And so I want to break it down into life circumstances into two groups. The first group, and those are the things that you can change. And then there's the group of things that you can't change. The things that you can do, you can change, you have control over, or at least a bit of control. You might not want to do it, but you have a little bit of control. If you want to go on a diet, you can go on a diet. This is something you can change. If you want to have more love in your life, you want to have better relationships, you can work on that. Those are something within your possibility of doing. But if you had your house burned down, there's not a lot you can do about that. Susan and I were fortunate enough to be in the Oakland fire. And when we came back the next day after the fire to see if our house was still there, we were one of the fortunate ones. All we had left was a chimney. Didn't have to demo anything. Oh, everything else was already flattened. I'm being facetious. See, it was sad. It was very sad. But in that moment of recognizing that that's where our house was and the smoldering rubble was everything. But was it everything? No, it wasn't everything. They say that life either does it to you or it does it for you. I like it, life does it for me. It gives me the opportunity to either go down the dark side or go down the light side. And in this situation, this is one of those things that you can't change this. The only way forward is to accept it and to take a look at what's the very next step. So I'm sitting there looking at the smoke. It's still smoking too, it's hot. I'm looking at the smoldering mess. And I'm going, I can feel a part of my mind that wants to blame something. You know, it wants to blame me for not sticking out with the water hose and trying to save the house by being on the roof with a water hose, with the water not working very well. I want to blame somebody. I just want to blame. I don't want this to happen. I'm starting to fight with the circumstances. I'm fighting with what is. And I can recognize that sort of that anger come up, and I'm going, wait, whoa, wait a minute. Let's back this baby up. What's going on? What is it that I have, and what's real in this moment? What's real in this moment? The house is gone. End of story. What's real in this moment is what's my next step? Well, the next step is to clean up this mess, design a house, and build it. Okay. Those are difficult steps. That's not an easy turn because the mind wants to blame. But if you take a look, that's a dark hallway to go down. There's not a lot of light there, not a lot of joy. The other pathway is to accept what's going on because you can't change it. Eventually, you're going to have to accept it. Eventually, you're going to have to move on. Why not today? Why not now? Why not take a look at what you have rather than what you don't have? And what came out was I'm looking around and there's Susan. She's alive and healthy, a little disappointed. The kids are there. They're going, oh man, I lost all my stuff. Eventually, our cat returned. What do I have that I really value? And that was family and the life, and the rest of the stuff I got to throw away as just stuff. It wasn't the important stuff. I had the important stuff. Wow, am I grateful. And when I look towards gratitude, grateful for what I had, not for what I lost, but grateful for what I had, something felt much better in my body. It felt more reassuring. It felt cozy. It felt welcoming. And so, as you look at the circumstances in your life, and we all have those tough things, stuff that we can't change, that we're up against. And you know, it might be that like we lose a job, we do, you know, relationships end, there's illness that comes in. What we can change is how we're holding it. And that's where we have our choice. We have the choice between those two paths, the dark path, blaming, being angry, or the other side is, what am I grateful and what do I have? What do I have left? And I heard this fellow saying, he was saying, why not reframe it? Rather than what I miss, why not framing it? What are all the good times that I did have? Not what I'm missing, but remembering the good. I don't think that's Pollyanna. You know, it's like I think of my parents, you know, and I only see them in the light, in the wonderful gift that they were to me, and all of the time they spent that I frankly didn't appreciate as much as I do now. So we're going to do a little breakout group. You're going to be in partners. And Peter, our Zoom guy, is going to figure that out. But you'll be paired with a wonderful partner. You're going to take a look at what would your life be like if the boogeyman under the bed wasn't there, or if the circumstances that you might be fighting about or fighting with just disappeared, just vanished. What would it be like if you turned the flashlight under the bed and there was nothing there? What would your life be like? Kind of getting the idea. What would your life be like if the circumstances that you're fighting against disappeared? I know you've got the idea. I'm going to have Peter, you're going to break us out for 8 minutes, and then we'll see you back here. In talking with your partner, what came up for you? What triggered something? Because your partner is brilliant. So perhaps what did you learn about yourself? What would it be like if all those circumstances disappeared? Would you live your life a little bit differently? Would there be more peace or ease? Or would you find something else to fight against? So I'm throwing it open. Who has the good? Susan.
Okay, so we ended on, my partner was Reverend Sally, and we ended on what was the silver lining to the circumstances, you know, that we were dealing with. And both of us came up with some positive things as a result. And so then we said, well, maybe we should be grateful for these things that occur. And as an opportunity, I mean, of course we have like your house burning down, but we said we don't have to have that big a deal to talk about, you know, it's just like our normal everyday things. And for me, I'm just adding this, I think those are the hardest things to give up is if, you know, no, I don't want to do that. But if I stop, I can then be grateful for that opportunity to make a change that's healthy for me in that moment.
Beautiful. Thank you. Who else? Let me get
Reverend Jerry's got her hand up.
Reverend Jerry.
Hello. Let me take my hand down now. So Jane Ann and I had the opportunity to be together. We also had the opportunity to be together on Susan's retreat. So it was nice to reconnect with her. We both talked about, I want to say, losses in one way or another.
Mhm.
And the end result of that was being in gratitude. So gratitude came up for us as well, Susan. Being in gratitude for what we have and, you know, for how we are experiencing our life now. And so ultimately, situations that felt like a loss turned into a great deal of gratitude for both of us. Yeah. So that was a nice exercise for us to share in. Yeah.
Well, silver lining. That's good. That's very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you for that.
You.
Okay. Who else wants to contribute their wisdom? I'm happy to wait. I know you've got something to say, Freya. You always do.
as soon as you asked the question, I noticed that my head space was like caught up in, you know, pressure and things aren't feeling right. I just noticed immediately. I thought, oh, here I am caught up in what he's talking about. And so I just said, oh, take a breath and see if you can't just let it go. And then when my partner was talking, I just felt like everything she said was something that I could have said. And she ended up saying, oh, things just shifted. And so it can, I don't have to go through a lot of thought process about it. I can just like let it go if I need to sometimes.
Mhm.
It's nice to be able to do that sometimes, at least.
Yeah. What about when you check in, like intuition wise? Just check in and to see, is this mine to do? Do I need to move forward? Do I need to stay where I am? It's just asking those questions, and to see what pops up. Because I know for me, there is this, when I ask questions like that in a sincere way, there's an answer. It's an immediate answer. The response comes back. I may not like the response, but there's a response back. It could be, do I take this job or not? Is this relationship healthy for me? Do I need to make a change in this direction? And it's amazing how the answers are there within us. And Einstein said that the intuitive mind is really a divine gift. And the analytical mind is a servant. And it takes both of those to really be healthy. The intuition and our critical thinking, both of those are so important. The problem is in our culture, we value the analytical more than we do the intuitive. We love the thought process. We love the scientific explanation. But when we come back to trusting ourselves, is this mine to do? How do I move forward? How do I find the courage, as Reverend Sunshine did when she wrote that article that she got some heat on about, we're being too political, calling out racism. That's not political. That's human. That's beyond politics. But it takes courage to move into that. And that takes a lot of courage because you're setting yourself up as a target. And we don't want to be that vulnerable, or is it time to be that vulnerable? When someone says, I have no regrets, I laugh and I say, I have so many regrets. I have so many regrets of all the times that I could have stepped up and I didn't. I could have spoken out and I didn't. There were people being bullied and I didn't step in. Those are my regrets. I didn't acknowledge people in my life that really made a difference. I didn't tell them how much I love them. Those are my regrets. And we can do better starting today. So our next exercise is going to be picking a circumstance that you'd like to be more at ease with. It doesn't have to go away, but you just like to be more comfortable with it. Maybe some insights into a direction of what the very first step would be. So the exercise is going to be to pick a circumstance, name it with your partner, and then declare what is the very first step. You kind of got that idea? Let's do this in 8 minutes. You got, and we'll have Peter break us out. You'll have another wonderful partner. I guarantee it. There we go. Have you thanked your wonderful partner? Thank you, wonderful partner.
Thank you, Reverend Sunshine.
Okay, in the few minutes we have, who would like to share what came up for you that time? Did you actually see a first step? Because that makes it real. And that comes from a place inside you when that first step actually arises. Who would like to share?
I went ahead and put my hand up, Christopher. Let me lower my hand here. So as Jane Ann and I were speaking, a visual came to me and I shared it with her, and I think I'm just going to share it with the group.
It was wonderful. Thank you. Yay. Yes.
Thank you. We were talking about, being immersed in the circumstances, right? And so the visual that came up for me was, if I'm in the middle of circumstances, it's like I'm in the middle of water and the water's just going like this, going like this, going like this. But if I give myself the opportunity to just be with it, eventually the water's calm. And when the waters get still enough, then I can see very clearly what my next step is. So thank you.
Getting out of the washing machine. Thank you. Good one. Who else has their hand up? I can't see everybody. Oh. Who?
I'll put my hand up. I'll put my hand up this way. And it tags on to what Reverend Sally just said. She's talking about the water. I'm talking about the pendulum, because I already know what the next step is. And what I know, see, this is what happens with enlightened people. I see my process. I see me flailing. I see my story. I see me going back and forth on this pendulum. Do I do this? No, do this, do that. So I know eventually I will do the thing that I need to do. And I'm simply allowing myself to be on the pendulum to work it out for myself, because really it's the lessons learned that I'm experiencing. I'm watching, like the witness here, which is a spiritual practice for me, watching myself flail on this pendulum. And it's amusing to me, so and while it's painful, it's like, my feelings are hurt, and it allows me to peel. My feelings are hurt. The reality of it is, and speaking truth to circumstance, why are you on the pendulum? Really, because my feelings are hurt. And am I going to peel deeper than that? I think she's going to do this or that or the other. And just letting myself be with it until I get to the place where I can do that thing there.
Whew. Yes. Yes. The witness. Simply the witness. Well, we're pretty much coming to the end of our time. I want to thank each of you fellow researchers for the great job you've done and for playing with each other in this intimate way. I really appreciate it. I've had a great time, and I want to thank you all. And I'm going to turn this back over to Sally, Reverend Sally.
Thank you, Christopher. And everyone, let's give some love and appreciation for Christopher for taking us through this evening and all of the exercises. Very enlightening, very, very enlightening. All right, so we do have some announcements to share with you, and Peter will bring up the slides so that we can kind of go along with the slides as well. All right, so this coming Sunday, July 9th already, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman will be continuing our July topic of speaking truth to circumstances. Her topic for this week is Got Me Hypnotized. Meditation begins at 10 a.m. and the service begins at 10:30 a.m. Now, next Wednesday, I will actually be following up on this got me hypnotized topic, and I'll be the speaker instead of the host. So it'll be a little bit of a shift there. Meditation begins at 6:30 and the service again begins at 7 on Zoom. The open forum is back in person on July 9th. It's going to start at 1:30 p.m. in the sanctuary. Lunch will be available that day, and the Board of Trustees will be presenting the state of the village. We invite you to bring your questions and your thoughts. Be prepared to have this open forum be interactive. This coming Saturday, July 8th, and Saturday, July 15th, Freddie Lambright III will present the thought-provoking topic of cosmonaut consciousness. Now, if you have been thinking about taking this class but haven't registered yet, please register. We need to know how many will be attending, and we need more registrants in order for this to go forward. Freddie will be leading a 2-part workshop series focusing on the guiding principles of Afrofuturism and how those principles can then reinvent our spiritual practices. The registration link is on the website under the upcoming classes and workshops link. The cost is only $30. So at the bookstore this month, everything is 40% off. Everything. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to go do your early holiday shopping now. Get more books, get that thing in the bookstore that you've been wanting for so long. It's on sale. The possibilities are endless. And coming soon, bring a friend to Sunday service. Actually, when I think about it, bring a friend to Sunday service every week. Enough said on that topic. All right. As always, for information on all that is going on at our Oakland Center, I invite you to navigate yourself to our website, www.oaklandcsl.org, and sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Village News. And on our website, you'll see this page that gives you all the information about the individuals you can contact for various things. So do that. Navigate to Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and you'll find content that you'll only see on those social media platforms. So please like us and subscribe to the Oakland Center today. All right, that's it for our announcements. And now we get to activate the law of circulation by going into our joyous giving. And in honor of Independence Day, we've got our affirmation here. So I'm going to move my slide over a little bit. And if you would, I invite you to consider your giving and affirm with me that divine love as me blesses and multiplies this offering. It blesses all that I am, all that I give, and all that I circulate. Thank you, love as me. Now, you may know that there are at least 5 ways to give to the Oakland Center. You'll click on that donate icon on the website. You'll be given options for credit card, mail, Zelle, text, or you can come on Sunday bringing a friend and place your offering in the basket. So that's it for this evening. We are so glad that everyone came and participated in this Monsters, Inc. presentation. Christopher, thank you so much for taking us through all of these circumstances and helping us to see the silver linings and the gratitude that is always present. Thank you. Thank you, Peter, for doing the breakout rooms, and Alice for helping with the muting and all of that information. What a wonderful evening. And so I'd like to turn it over, I believe, to Susan for our closing prayer.
Thank you, Reverend Sally. So let's just take a breath, breathing in to that one that one divine beingness that is each one of us breathing the same breath, being here in this present moment, allowing ourselves to bask in the oneness and the divine love of presence, and learning the lesson of simply letting it be, no matter what the circumstances are. Just allowing those answers to bubble up to any circumstance that is in your heart, that is needing to move and needing to just be expressed. So I am so grateful for everyone who participated in this service today, for Christopher for his talk, for being able to go into breakout rooms and have wonderful conversations and sharings on the topic. And so I just bless everyone who has shown up today, anyone who hears this on recording, and simply grateful for our Oakland Center for Spiritual Living and all the wonderful opportunities we have to meet and greet and learn together in a loving presence. So please join with me in saying, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
Yes.